Changing eras bring forth new philosophies and ideas. It's quite natural. People start thinking about new ideas, or people always want to look at life and related aspects in a different manner, in a different dimension, which was not used by the ancestors. So, day by day, or month by month, or year, after a year or 2 years, or after a decade, people start thinking about new vision of life. So philosophies change. Philosophy is vision of life and related aspects. When there is a change in the case of philosophy, you can see the change in the field of education too. As I told in the intro video, philosophy acts as the script of education. If philosophy is the view, education is the way. Philosophy puts forth some ideas, and education helps us to realize such ideas in our real life. And there have been tremendous changes in pedagogy and curriculum all these decades. Pedagogy means science of teaching. Curriculum is the activities which a learner experience during a particular academic year or during a course of study. So philosophy change, or there is change in philosophy, so there is change in pedagogy and curriculum. And this long journey has made a huge pedagogical shift from the past to postmodern classroom. Thus, from an orthodox teacher-centered classroom to a modern dynamic learner-centered classroom. If you make a journey from the Olden classroom to the modern classroom, you will see the difference. If you go back to the Olden classroom, you will see a teacher with a textbook standing before the students and reading and explaining each and everything to the students, asking questions and giving the answers to the students without giving any opportunity for the students to express their views. The classroom was teacher dominant classroom, the teacher-centered classroom. But nowadays, if you enter a modern classroom, you can see the change. It has been changed from the teacher-centered classroom to a learner-centered classroom. Now, learner is the center. Teacher has to help learner to reach his goal. The teacher has become the manager of the activities, and you can see learner-centered activities inside the classroom. Also, I think we would better have a comparative history. We can just look at the Olden classroom and the modern classroom, just for correcting some differences. The first thing is that the past classroom was teacher-centered, predetermined classroom. And now it has become a learner-centered, flexible classroom. It was a teacher-centered classroom and it was a predetermined classroom. That means the teachers used to teach something which they had already prepared. As there was no interaction, teachers were able to teach whatever they prepared in the previous day. It was not dynamic because teachers were not to change their strategies or change their ideas on the basis of the circumstances inside the classroom, because there was only one circumstance in the classroom, that was the teacher would come to the classroom and start teaching whatever he had prepared in the previous day. But nowadays the situation has changed. Classroom has become learner-centered, flexible classroom. This is something natural, because if the classroom becomes learner-centered, then there will be questions from the learners. When there are questions from learners, teachers have to answer the questions. And sometimes the questions may be not related to the items prepared by the teacher. Then teacher has to answer the questions on the spot. And sometimes teacher may have to change his strategies, his methods, his ways, his explanation of ideas. Because one-way communication is different from interaction. In the past classroom, teacher, the person who was communicating inside the classroom was the teacher. He was the only person who was communicating. So there was no question from the students. So there was no need for any change. So this is something important. In the past, the classroom was teacher-centered, predetermined classroom, but now it has become learner-centered, flexible classroom. In the past, teacher was a dictator, and now he is regarded a facilitator. So teacher would come to the classroom and just teach each and everything. Teacher would give some notes, and these notes were something pre-prepared. Sometimes some teachers would use the same note for years and years without making any change. So teacher was teaching each and everything, each and every line, each and every point. But nowadays, situation has changed. Teacher has become a facilitator. Teacher is a person who is helping the students when they are indulging in self-study. Learners have got some capacities, and on the basis of the capacity of different learners, teacher has to facilitate. Teacher has to find the real talent or the innate talent of each student. He should realize the uniqueness of each individual. And on the basis of the innate talent or the capacity of each student, he should act as a facilitator. For example, if a student is very good at delivering speeches, then teachers should create some atmosphere for that particular student to deliver a speech in a particular language in an effective manner. Some other student may be excellent in writing stories. Teacher has to find out this capacity, and teacher should provide some opportunities for such students to improve their creativity by writing different types of stories. So this is there. In the past, teacher was a dictator, and nowadays he has become a facilitator. Then in the past, teacher was an exclusive member, but nowadays teacher has become a co-learner. See, nowadays students update their knowledge day by day, and teacher has to learn with them. Otherwise, teacher will not be able to teach their students in an effective manner. If the learners have got some ideas, some pieces of knowledge, or some concepts which the teacher does not know, what will be the state of the teacher? He will be thrown out of the mainstream. He will be insulted by the students. He will not be respected by the students. The students will not get any confidence in learning something from such a teacher. So world changes day by day, and students update their knowledge day by day. So teacher also has to update his knowledge. That means instead of becoming an exclusive member of the classroom, teacher should start learning with the learners. So nowadays teacher has become a co-learner. Right? If you are not able to become a co-learner with your students, then you will be out of the mainstream of the educational system. And this also you can see there. And this is also a difference between the past paradigm and the modern paradigm. Then, in the past, students were passive listeners, and they were receiving what the teachers were teaching. But in the modern times, it also has changed. Now the classrooms have become activity-oriented classrooms. After the emergence of pragmatism and such modern philosophies, schools of philosophy, classroom has become activity-oriented. Now teacher has to organize discussions, debates, role plays, conversations, dramas, and such activities inside the classroom. Then students have become active learners. They have become active part of the classroom. You will learn something about Paulo Freire. According to Paulo Freire, in the traditional formal classrooms, students were compelled to keep a sort of culture of silence because they were not able to express their ideas. They were not able to tell anything inside the classroom. They were not able to find out solutions for contemporary issues because they were always being taught by the teachers. So they were compelled to keep culture of silence. But now, in the modern classroom, the atmosphere has changed. The air has changed. Now you can see active participation by learners in each and every teaching learning process. Teacher cannot ignore them. Teacher cannot neglect them. So this is also a difference between the past classroom and the modern classroom. In the past, we were giving more importance to exams. So we were giving importance to covering the portions. Covering the portions as much as possible. Just for making the learners pass the examination. When you give more importance to content, then you can see you can see degeneration of quality. Because when you give importance to what the learners learn instead of how they learn, then you're producing some content mongers. You're producing some information mongers. You're producing some people who have got some pieces of knowledge, but they are not able to express the ideas which they have learned, or they are not able to apply what they have learned in their day-to-day life situations. For example, language learning. In the past, we were giving more importance to the prose, text, and stories included in the language textbooks instead of giving importance to communication skill. So, if you ask some questions about the characters of a particular story, students might be able to answer. But if you are asking them to make a conversation by making use of a particular language, they will not be able to do so. Because we were giving more importance to content, and we were not giving any importance to the process, the how part. What is learned, how is learned is more important than what is learned. And that is what we are seeing nowadays. Now we are giving more importance to process, not to content. Modern classrooms, we are giving more importance to activities, processes, how they learn. That is something important. When you give more importance to the process, then you can see the quality. Otherwise, you can see the quantity. Then, in the past, there was individual learning. But nowadays, modern educationists have introduced different learning strategies such as cooperative learning or collaborative learning. Here, different students sit together and they learn together. And here, some students may be experts in some areas of a particular subject, and some other students may be experts in some other areas of a particular subject. So when they collaborate or when they sit together, the experts in some areas can explain the items related to such areas to others. Others who are experts in some other areas of a particular subject can explain such items to others. So there will be effective learning. So this cooperative learning and collaborative learning are a part of modern paradigms in teaching learning process. Now, we were teaching something included in the textbook in the past. We were teaching everything by making the students supposing something. We would tell them, suppose you are a policeman, suppose you are a teacher. Or we were teaching everything by using artificial stories. But pragmatism, the modern philosophy called pragmatism, promotes life-oriented learning. You have to teach each and everything, even inside the classroom, by using life-oriented activities, by using actual life examples, by creating actual life situations inside the classroom. For example, if you want to teach them the conversation between a policeman and a common man, instead of teaching them something written in the textbook, you can make the students indulge in a conversation. That is, you can make a student a policeman, and you can give the role of the common man to another student, and you can make them speak to each other, just like a policeman speaks to a common man. So life-oriented learning is there nowadays. But in the past, we were teaching each and everything theoretically. We were teaching each and everything by reading some textbooks, by using some artificial examples. So it will not be giving any sort of real life experience to the students. So nowadays we are promoting life-oriented learning. That means teaching each and everything by using life-oriented examples, life-oriented activities, some experiences from the life of the students. In the past, students were receiving knowledge, and nowadays students have started constructing knowledge. And we will learn more about this one. We have to discuss social constructivism introduced by Vygotsky. Now students construct knowledge. We have told that teachers are facilitators. Instead of teaching each and every theory inside the classroom, teachers should become a facilitator to help the students to construct knowledge. They should construct knowledge. Instead of teaching them how to make a particular item theoretically, teacher can provide the raw materials to them, and teacher can tell them to construct or to create that item. And if the students get some doubts, they can clarify the doubts by asking the teacher. So construction of knowledge is there, even if the theories are constructed by the students. Teachers should never teach any theory directly. Teachers should ask some questions and give some hints and clues by which students will construct knowledge. And this is what is happening in the modern classroom. In the past, we were making use of some orthodox language learning strategy or language teaching strategy for teaching different languages. We were teaching a language in a theoretical manner. We were teaching the rules and regulations of grammar. We were not giving any opportunity for the students to use the language even for half an hour. But now the situation has changed. Now a new strategy has been emerged, and that is language across curriculum. Instead of teaching a particular language in a particular separate language classroom, language across curriculum promotes teaching the language inside the language classroom as well as other subject classrooms. So the mathematics teacher should teach a beautiful language, the physics teacher should teach a beautiful language, the social science teacher should teach a beautiful language, the biology teacher should teach a beautiful language. So students should get opportunity for learning a language for hours and hours, because language is a skill subject. So there should be more and more hours for practicing the skills of a language, and that is what is offered by a language across curriculum. So instead of using a separate classroom, orthodox language learning classroom, nowadays we are using the strategy called language across curriculum for teaching the language. And in the past, there were only some methods such as lecture method or imitation method or question answer method. Most of the time the teacher would enter the classroom and would make use of lecture method. That is, he would go on teaching. He would give some notes and he would ask some questions and he would tell the answers. But now we are using different methods in our classroom. We may use lecture method, then we may use discussion method, then we would use debate, we would use brainstorming, we would use dramatization, we would use simulation, we would use language across curriculum strategy, we would use sharing of our experience, method of sharing of our experience. We would use flipped classroom and different methods. So nowadays we can see multi-method classrooms. The teacher should accept or should use a method on the basis of the situation, on the basis of the circumstance, on the basis of the topic, on the basis of the subject. So there is no single method. There are lots of methods, and you can make use of innovative methods. Whatever you see in your life can be used as a method in your classroom. Sometimes you may be able to use some reality shows, some models of reality shows in your classroom for teaching different items. So nowadays we have got multi-method classrooms. In the past we were using culturally biased pedagogy. That is, we would include only the cultural aspects of some particular sections of the society. We were not including the culture of the downtrodden people or the backward communities. But nowadays we feel that there is social diversity, and school classroom is a diversified society. In a diversified society you can see people from different communities, people who belong to different cultural backgrounds. And if you are teaching only by giving regard to a particular culture, then you are ignoring others. Then such students will not be interested in your classroom. And such students may not be able to learn what you are teaching inside the classroom. For avoiding such a situation, nowadays we are promoting culturally responsive pedagogy. That is, giving due regard to the cultural aspects of different students who belong to different cultural backgrounds. So nowadays we are using culturally responsive pedagogy instead of culturally biased pedagogy. And in the past, students always used to sit inside the classroom. Everything was taught inside the classroom. There was no opportunity for going outside. Only indoor learning was there, but nowadays we are making use of different outdoor learning too. If you want to teach something about lakes, rivers and oceans, then you can bring your students to a lake or a river or an ocean. If you want to teach about the culture of a particular community, then you can make a trip too. You can organize a trip for your students to the location where the particular community live. So nowadays we are using indoor plus outdoor. In the past, only indoor learning was there. Then in the past, we were using unreliable content-oriented evaluation. But there would be some examinations at the end of different terms. And we were testing the intelligence of the students, not any other domain, not any other skill, not any other talent. And the examinations were conducted during at the end of different terms. Then the matter is that if a particular student became ill during or sick during the examination, he or she might not be able to perform well, not because they hadn't got knowledge, but just because they had not been able to prepare well because of the illness. But nowadays we are using continuous comprehensive evaluation. Continuous means, or it is continuous because we evaluate our students throughout the year. Each and every day we observe our students. We evaluate their regularity, we evaluate their punctuality, we evaluate their discipline, we evaluate their communication skill, we evaluate their helping mentality, we evaluate their organizing skill. And it happens throughout the year, not at the end of any term. It is continuous. We always observe our students, directly and indirectly. We prepare anecdotal records. We prepare cumulative records. We make use of different mechanisms, different tools and techniques of evaluation. And it is comprehensive because, as I thought, we evaluate not only the intelligence, not only the by-hearting capacity of our students, not only the theoretical expertise of our students, but also we evaluate their organizing skill, their communication skill, their leadership skill, their personality, each and everything. So it is comprehensive. Comprehensive means we cover almost all the domains of a particular person. So we are evaluating throughout the year, and we are evaluating almost all the areas, almost all the domains, almost all the aspects of a particular person. So we are using continuous and comprehensive evaluation nowadays. And in the past there was only mere schooling. But nowadays there is continuous self-study. We create some base in our students, and they are able to study themselves. They can refer themselves, they can go to libraries, they can search online, and they can go on with their studies even without the help of a teacher. In the past, education was giving importance to philosophical assumptions. Some people would put forth some ideas, their views, their visions on life. And on the basis of these visions, we were preparing the curriculum, we were preparing the aims of education, we were preparing the methodologies, we were accepting different aspects of educational system. But nowadays we have got modern psychology. So we think about growth and development, we think about individual difference, we think about individual uniqueness, we think about different aspects of the psyche of a man, psyche of a person. So now we give more importance to modern psychology instead of giving importance to philosophical assumptions. And in the past, teachers were giving punishments to students, severe punishments. But nowadays, teachers have got some psychological approach. By using psychological approach, you can create readiness in your students. You can create interest in your students. You can make them more interested. You can make them more active. You can make them enjoy what they learn.